if you want to.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? We are live. We got a great card this Saturday. Definitely one of the best cards in a while, in my opinion. We got UFC 238. We got the bantamweight title. We got Henry Cejudo versus Magic Marlon Moraes. And initially, we were supposed to have a special guest, Brandon K, but last minute, he had something come up, and the show must go on. So, Kelton, my co-host, what's up, man? And how do you like this card?
I love this card, man. This is fantastic. We got 2 title fights. We got, dude, El Kakui versus Donald Cerrone. Are you kidding me? Blue chip prospects like Peter Yan. I don't even know if we can call Peter Yan a prospect anymore. He's for sure a contender at this point. Tatiana Suarez, who we've both called the future champ. Pedro Munhoz versus Aljamain Sterling, a legit top 5 bantamweight fight. This card is just stacked from top to bottom, man. I love it. I can't wait to dig into it. And of course, from a betting perspective, it's a good one, man. If you're a fan of UFC Bro Picks, this is the one to watch because me and Justin have 2 consensus plays, and we're going against each other in the main event. So this should be fun.
Yeah, man. Before we talk about the card on Saturday, we got to talk about last card and the main event. Damn, bro, we both should have bet Lionheart. Like, I know we both bet him. I think an hour before the main event started, so obviously we couldn't track it. But damn, dude, Lionheart, the dude is like legit, man. Like, I honestly, I was thinking about it. Like, I don't know if he would beat Johnny Walker just because I'm really high on Walker, but I think he beats everyone else in the division besides John Jones and Walker. Like, dude, he is. And there's people on Twitter that are saying that Luke Rockhold smokes him. Like what? Like, come on, dude. That's a pretty big play, bro, for me. Anthony Smith would smoke Luke Rockhold. Anthony Smith is legit. Like, I remember in the past when a lot of people were calling him I've called him a jobber and all this stuff. Like, back in the day when I saw all these losses he had by KO, but dude, the dude is a beast, man. What do you think about that fight?
Yeah, man, I think he's proved that 205 is the place for him to be. He's fucking massive, man. I can't believe he made 185 in the first place. Huge dude. Just put everything together at this point of his career, man. 50 fights in, and he's coming out here and finishing Gustafsson in Sweden, bro. It was, awesome performance. Overcame
that whole fight too.
Yeah, it kind of got sketchy at points. Gus is an animal. Great career to him. Yeah, that was a good fight, man. But Rakic, dude, that KO is nasty. I remember walking through the mall with my phone. I was just getting out of work, and I saw that and I screamed, "Holy shit!" And everyone around me looked. It was that was a nice KO from Rakic. What do you think of that guy?
Yeah, let me say this real quick. It was a good performance from Rakic, but you just knocked out Chinny Jimmy. You just knocked out a guy that was on a 3-fight losing streak who got knocked out 2 of his fights. Jan Blachowicz, literally, I heard him 2 or 3 times. It was a good performance, but let's not get too crazy because there's a lot of guys in that division that would beat him, in my opinion. I'm just naming off my fingers right now. We got Mikel. We got Lord Mikel. Lord, Oleg Jacek, he would beat him. Johnny Walker would beat him. I think Khalil Roundtree would beat him. We got Anthony Smith would beat him. Dominic Reyes would beat him. John Jones would beat him. Thiago Santos would beat him. Corey Anderson would beat him. Come on, man. There's 8 guys right there, and I'm sure I'm missing a couple guys too that would beat Rakic off the top of my head. He's a good fighter. I'm not saying he's not. He's a top 15 guy, probably a top 10 guy, but let's slow the roll, man. People are saying he's he said something about he sees weaknesses in John Jones. Come on, dude. You just knocked out Chinny Jimmy, a guy that's at the end of his career, a guy that's come on, been knocked out 2 of his last 3 fights, 3-fight losing streak. It was a good performance, but let's match you up with Johnny Walker and see how good you are.
Yeah, man, that same interview where he said he sees advantages over John Jones. He also said he wants to take a slow roll to the title shot. So does he really see advantages over John Jones? I don't know about that.
Give him Khalil Roundtree next, or Lord Mikel.
Man, I can't stop thinking about that performance Khalil had in Atlanta. That was fucking amazing.
I think there's people out there that probably think that Ratchet smokes Lord Mikel. Come on, bro. Who would you got in that fight right now?
If I had to pick it right now, gun to my head, I don't know. It's a tough one, man. I'd probably go with McCall.
I don't think that's tough, dude. I think Lord Mikel would smoke him, bro, in my opinion. But I just think Lord Mikel's really good. Come on, we see what he did to Khalil. Obviously, I'm not sitting here saying Ratchet sucks, okay? He's a top 10 guy. He's good. He just I don't think he can beat all those guys that I mentioned.
Yeah, so running down the rest of this card, Makwan Amirkhani submitted Fishgold. That was really impressive, man, because I was expecting a greasy, grimy split decision either way, and happens one of the guys ends up getting a second round submission. So anyone that bet Makwan out there, that was a really sharp play in my opinion. Giagos, that one hurt us bad, man. So unfortunately, we went 0-2 on our consensus bets for this card. Still sitting at 16-8, man, winning 2/3 of those consensus bets. So that's a very good record. But yeah, I mean, we were dead wrong about this one. I want to give Christos Giagos a lot of props. He's firstly, man, I just think he's a super athlete. Like he not only does he have that look chiseled out of stone, the dude can move like a serious like NFL or NBA athlete. Like he's on that caliber, and he's kind of finally morphing it together to fit his fight style too. He's putting everything together, as the kids like to say. So yeah, and he's like 28 years old, 29. Like I think Giagos has a very sharp UFC career ahead of him, man, which is crazy after being cut before. So props to him on that one. I thought he looked pretty good. Dude, talk about one of the most disappointing UFC debuts of the year so far in Sung Bin Jo. He was kind of heavily favored at one point. He was getting bet down. Money was coming in on the Sweden. And props to you guys if you bet on Little Tamor there. That was definitely the best performance of his career. The Kandozko fight, dude. I'm gonna be honest. We both picked Kandozko. I had Kandozko in DraftKings. I actually could see an argument of how Rostam Akhman won that fight. Actually, I thought it was really close. Could have gone either way, but I was surprised no judges gave that to him in Sweden. I was expecting a split for sure. Maybe the biggest shocker, I'll say it, probably the biggest shocker of the night, Lena Landsberg, 30-26ing Tanya Evinger. Tanya's got to retire after that, bro. Like, that's bad. That's all I'm going to say about that one. I don't think Lena Landsberg I don't think that's the start of her title run or anything. I think that's honestly, like, I kind of wouldn't mind like seeing Lena Landsberg like call it a career after that one. You know, so you're fighting in your home country against a women's MMA legend, and you go out and 30-26 her. You're 40 years old. She probably could have called that a wrap there, and it would have been an awesome send off. But yeah, props to her. Leo Santos, dude, just starched Stevie Ray.
Yeah, that was good.
Dude, we knew a lot of sharp people on Stevie Ray there, and I mean myself, I had money on Stevie Ray and DraftKings. Like, he was one of my core underdogs, and dude got sliced in half. Like, holy fuck. Leo Santos comes back 3 years and just starches him. Frank Camacho, probably with the best performance.
Oh, man, that was a good performance.
Yeah, man. I mean, talk about a guy that's putting it all together. He's probably at the right camp now. I think at the 155-pound division, Frank Camacho is definitely a problem. Again, another retirement. Props to Nick Hine. Nick Hine actually had I'd say above average UFC career. Like, he won a lot of fights. He went on a nice win streak. I know it wasn't against the best guys in the world, and a lot of those fights were boring, but I'll give that guy props for getting a lot of those win bonuses. B. Malecki versus Duda Santana, bro. Like, fucking wow. Like, everyone was saying it beforehand, this should not be a UFC fight, and I totally agree, man. I thought both those chicks looked awful. I don't see much of anything for them in the future. Maybe you disagree, but Devin Clark versus Darko Stojic, that's our other consensus that we lost on. That was tough, man. He won the second round. He was able to get a takedown of his own on the wrestler and hold him there, but on the feet, he just couldn't pull the trigger, man. Devin Clark just looked like the way better athlete, and he looked like the more seasoned striker. So props to him. And then first fight of the night, I was dead wrong on. I had a fucking 4-unit play on Danilo Belluardo, man, and you know, it started off nice. He was looking decent on the feet. He got the takedowns. He was controlling them. Man, I picked him by arm triangle choke and everything, and you can tell there was a couple spots he was really trying for that. But props to Joel Alvarez. The submission defense was on point. Danilo kind of gassed out a little bit, and what happened to him was what has happened to him in the past, man. He I don't want to say he gave up, but he kind of gave up. What do you think about that one, man? I don't know about Danilo Belluardo. I was expecting so much more.
Yeah, man, that was just a fight that I really didn't know. Like, that was a really close fight, in my opinion. I think both those guys are at the bottom of the division, and even though we just saw Alvarez won, I still think they're both the bottom division. I don't know where they both go from here, but I just don't think they're that good. I think they're low-level guys. And, yeah, man, that ground and pound for Alvarez, it was good. We haven't really seen that. He's a submission specialist, but, I mean, Danilo got his 4th KO loss, I think. So we'll see where they go from here. I'm trying to think of any other fights I want to talk about. Congrats to Devin Clark bettors. I bet on Darko, and I see some people that say that Darko won. Darko did not win that fight, bro. Like, I bet Darko, and I'm sitting here saying that Clark won that fight. Darko just gassed. He didn't even do anything. He just like pressured him and didn't even throw. Like, I think Devin Clark hurt him in that first round. Just like, I don't know, man. Like, his takedown defense looked good, but I mean, Devin Clark, like, I don't think he's gonna be ever a top 15 guy, but he has a good record. He's like what 3-3 or 4-3. So we'll see where he goes from here. Obviously, I still want to fade him down the line, but Darko wasn't that impressive. I don't think I don't know. I thought he was gonna be a lot better than that. Frank Camacho, I picked him. I was going to bet him. I didn't. I listened, man, too much to people, and I just stayed away, and it's my own fault. I should have bet Camacho, and I had the chance to plus some money, but it is what it is. I'm down to go on if you want to and start 238.
Yeah, man, let's get it.
All right, man. So first fight of the night, we got 2 girls in this division who I think are top 5 girls. We got. I mean, honestly, the winner of this fight could definitely be fighting for the belt next. We got Jojo, Joanne Calderwood, versus Katlyn Chookagian. And, yeah, man. Honestly, man, this is one of those fights I've been going back and forth on. I think both girls are really good. Obviously, Jojo looked really good last fight against Lipsky. Lipsky did take her down the 3rd round and have a little success. But, I mean, Jojo, you know what you're going to get from her, man. She has really good ground game. She has good striking. I think 125 is definitely the division for her. She has a really good right hand, good pressure. I think the camp change, the syndicate is definitely really good. And then, you got Chook on the flip side who lost, a close fight against Jessica. I do think I won the fight, but I still think Chook's a good fighter, man. Like, a lot of people like to make fun of her and say that, like Grunt and Run 2.0 because Holly Holm is the other one. But she's so technical on the feet, and she has a good ground game. She has good jiu-jitsu, just really haven't seen it. Good takedown defense. I don't see Jojo really, like taking her down at will. I think Jojo might take her down, like maybe once, but I think she's going to get right back up on the feet. I got to give the advantage to Chookagian. I think that she's more technical on the feet. I know that she runs a lot and, she doesn't throw the most volume, but she's a bigger fighter. I think she has the better striking. I think it's a really close fight. I think the line, it's been like a pick 'em for a while, but I got to go Chookagian, man, by a split decision, man. She wins a lot of these close fights, and I know she lost to Jessica, but that was a really close fight. And they rematched. I mean, I probably got to go Chookagian. So I'm going to go Chookagian here with a close split decision. What about you?
What has been the common theme in all 6 of Katlyn Chookagian's fights?
Close split decisions.
I mean, they all weren't split, but yeah, you got it, man. They were all incredibly close, and I guess that's where the line we get stems from. This is statistically the closest fight on the card, according to the betting odds, -110 apiece. And I actually, I'm going to go ahead and say I actually don't agree with that, man. I actually like Jojo Calderwood in this fight a decent amount. Not going to be betting it. I mean, I've statistically, I've been pretty shitty at betting a Katlyn Chookagian fight, especially that last one against Jessica I. But hey, is what it is. I just feel like, I mean, if you look at Chookagian's career, firstly, I did not think she won the Irene Aldana fight. If you look at her other wins other than that, it's against Lauren Murphy, Alexis Davis, Mara Barella. I mean, really, either old or not that great fighters in the first place. And then her losses against Liz Carmouche and Jessica. I actually think this might be the toughest fight of Katlyn Chookagian's UFC career thus far. Jojo Calderwood, I mean, she's been there, done that, dude. I mean, came in that very first women's tough season with the champion crown, the Carla Rose show. Came in and, she had some problems. Like, she was going through a lot of mental stuff. She took questionable losses, but I mean, really at 125, that's where we've seen Jojo Calderwood's best work, man. Like, her flyweight debut against Valerie Letourneau, like, damn, she turned it up and just murked her badly. Like, just made her look like she didn't belong in the octagon with her. Then against Kalinger Faria, Faria's not that great, but hey, showing something new and landing a triangle armbar there, showing that she is working on different aspects of her game. And then against Lipsky, who, I mean, Lipsky was what, like a minus 200 favorite in that spot, man, like very highly touted, and Jojo dominated her, bro. Like, it wasn't a Chukagian grunt and run close decision. I mean, Jojo Calderwood is out here dominating good fighters, and we'll be talking about Lipsky next week. Lipsky is a good fighter, bro. I think people are just, I don't know what it is, man. Just because she comes into the UFC and loses as a big favorite, well, hey, she shouldn't have been a big favorite in the first place because Jojo Calderwood is a legit top 10, 125-pound fighter. So basically, man, what I see going down here, I don't know if either girl has like a big enough grappling advantage to kind of take advantage of that over the other. I think this is definitely going to be playing out on the feet. And, man, I think Jojo is going to be the girl pressuring and landing the harder shots. Chukagian's going to be swinging at air, man. So, I mean, I guess it all depends on who's judging the fights that night. It probably will be close, but I'm going to go with the girl who's on a more impressive run, in my opinion. I'm going to go with the Scottish Joanne Calderwood via, I'll say, 29-28 unanimous decision. Are we going off the Wikipedia order or Tapology order?
Wikipedia. So next fight is the Dentist versus Bavon.
Because I know the Popov and Wineland fight isn't in the order yet.
No. Let's just do the Bavon fight. Let's do the Bavon fight. I'm gonna check real quick on the UFC website.
All right, yeah. So we got Bavon Lewis. He is a decent sized favorite. He's minus 235 over Darren Stewart, who is plus 195. This is one of the fights me and Justin were talking about right before the podcast. This is a good one, man. Bavon Lewis has gotten some pretty high compliments and comparisons. Like, people have compared this guy to John Jones, saying he's the next big thing. He's super serious. He was a big favorite against Uriah Hall, and probably rightfully, man. I mean, he beat the shit out of Uriah Hall, and as you can see, the odds here. I mean, people aren't really holding that too much against him because, hey, I mean, that's something Uriah Hall is known to do. That we all know that that first Gegard Mousasi fight, one of the best middleweights of all time, Mousasi was beating the hell out of Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall comes back, knocks him out. We've seen Uriah Hall do this. Now, in this matchup against Darren Stewart, honestly, man, I mean, we've seen Darren Stewart do that as well. The dude has a lot of heart. He's kind of a slow starter, but he comes back late and really, really puts it on guys. I mean, even his last fight against Edmund Shabazian, of course, he was bringing it to him, and Stewart almost got him out of there late in that fight. And then the Charles Byrd fight, Byrd definitely won that first round, was looking good at the beginning of the second, and then Stewart comes out, bomb swinging away, and knocks the guy out. And I think maybe we could see that kind of situation here, but I don't think it's going to happen, man. I'm going to go ahead and say that Bavon has learned from his mistakes. I think he's growing as a fighter. I mean, the guy's only 6-1, I believe, right? I mean, pretty young in his UFC career. We can clearly see the talent. I mean, you'd be crazy to say that he's the less talented fighter here. I mean, he's got all the skills in the world. So I think it's as simple as if he doesn't get caught, he's going to win this fight. So I'm going to go ahead and favor Bavon Lewis. I have enough respect for Stewart to say that he probably won't get him out of there. So I'm going to say Bavon wins a clean-cut 30-27 decision, man, as long as he doesn't get caught at one point. Because, like I said, man, Stewart has bombs in his fist, and he is known for coming back late in fights. What do you think, man?
Yeah, man. Initially I thought that this was going to be a squash match, but then I looked into it, and I actually think it's a close fight. I've actually had a kind of tough time on this decision. I think Bavon Lewis is a good fighter. Obviously, I played him versus Uriah Hall, and I was really let down. I mean, he really was controlling that whole fight, and then just, got tired trying to finish Hall and then got knocked out. Obviously, it's the first time he's ever been finished, so I'm not going to say, he has a bad chin or anything. But, I mean, Darren Stewart, man, he's like the comeback king. I mean, we've seen him come back. We saw him come back versus Charlie Byrd. He was coming back versus Shabazian. I mean, honestly, Shabazian only won that fight because of the grappling, and let's be honest, Darren Stewart's takedown defense has actually improved a lot. Edmund took him down about 6 times, but it's not like he controlled him. He got up, every time he was kind of controlling him and, in the clinch a little bit on the cage, but I remember when Darren Stewart first came out of the gate, like he was getting taken down, easily. I mean, Carl Robeson, tapped him out easily. Joanne Marquez tapped him out. A lot of people were making fun of Darren Stewart and all that, but I think that he's 2-4, I think, in the UFC, or 3-4 in the UFC. No, 2-4 in the UFC. Obviously he's 2-3, I think, in middleweight because the Barroso fight was at 205. But my read on this fight is I think Pavon Lewis has the more technical striking. I think he has more weapons. I mean, he's nasty in the clinch. He has good elbows. He hurt Uriah Hall multiple times with elbows. I mean, he hurt Cunningham, in the clinch with the elbow on the Contender Series. He's a good fighter. He has a lot of hype. I think he's a really good striker. We haven't really seen his grappling that much. I think to beat a guy like Darren Stewart, got to mix it up. I feel like he definitely needs to shoot. I think he needs to shoot, honestly. But I don't know if he's going to be able to take him down. We haven't really seen his grappling that much. Obviously, he's a striker first and foremost, and the guy is Darren Stewart. Like I mentioned, he doesn't really have a ground game, but his takedown defense has definitely improved. He slows down a lot too. He has a lot of muscle, but he has a really good right hand. He has a good chin. He's so durable, man. Honestly, I know that Pavon's a pretty durable guy, but I think Darren Stewart's probably the more durable guy. I think Darren Stewart probably has the better cardio here too. It's just one of those fights, man. I've been going back and forth. I think Darren Stewart could definitely, get a comeback win. You look at the Shahbazyan fight, Darren Stewart was hurting him bad in that third round, man. Shahbazyan, was lucky to stay alive in that fight. So I'm gonna go with Pavon this fight. I think that he could definitely win a decision or finish him. But I think Dentist is live, and I think he has more power, and I think he could definitely knock out Pavon Lewis. So I think we have to see Pavon's grappling. I think he needs a shoot, and if he does, I think he could take him down. But yeah, it's a close fight, but I'm going to go with Pavon. But, I mean, I feel like it should be closely lined, maybe Pavon minus 140, minus 150. So the next fight is actually the one that you were talking about. I looked. We got Eddie Wineland versus, what is his name? Grigory Popov?
Grigory, I think.
Grigory Popov. I'm going to have a really short breakdown on this. Obviously, you're you're gonna have a longer breakdown because you're pretty confident in one of these guys. But yeah, man, it's just one of those fights I don't want any part of. Eddie Wineland's at the end of his career. I still think that he can beat a guy like this, though. Popov's pretty old too, and he just, I don't know, man. He has pretty decent striking. Obviously, he has a lot of wins for KO, and he's technical in the feet, but I mean, he gets taken down pretty bad, pretty easily. His ground game, he had to own a plata against some jobbers, so. If Wineland shows up and really tries to take him down, he's going to win the fight. On the feet, that's where it gets interesting because Wineland's chin is definitely deteriorating. But I mean, Wineland can still crack. He's still technical. He had a close fight with Dodson. He had a close fight with Alejandro Perez, who's a top 15 guy. And I mean, honestly, that could have gone either way, bro. That was a pretty close fight. So I got to go with the more experience. I know Eddie's at the end of his career, but I just don't think Popov's that good. I think if Popov fought Andre Ewell, that would be minus a 10 a piece. So I don't know, man. I have to go with Eddie Wineland, but I'm not confident. What about you?
Dude, are you sure about that? Have you seen the way they lined Andre Ewell's fight next week or 2 weeks?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that all about?
They're really high in that kid. I think they're looking at, Dos Santos has 6 losses and all this stuff. And I know he's been finished multiple times, but yeah, I definitely like Santos there. Pretty safe.
Dude, Ewell lost a round to Head and Barrow in 28. Was that 18?
Yeah, he almost got tapped out, bro. I bet Ewell, and I was sweating my ass off. He literally almost got tapped out in the first round.
If you're sweating on a guy against Head and Barrow in 2018, he should not be minus 300 against anybody. I can't wait to look into that one. We'll see about Anderson and Dos Santos. But yeah, what fight are we on here? What are we talking about? Oh, Popov and Wineland. Yeah, man, you're right. I am confident on one side. Some money has been coming in on Eddie Wineland. Probably could have seen that coming. He's about 1 million times more experienced at the high level. I mean, holy shit, dude. The guy's been around, done that. I mean, we're talking about a WEC legend at this point in Eddie Wineland. Of course, he has seen better days, man. The durability is not once what it was. The jaw's been broken a couple times at this point. He's lost 4 out of his last 6. But, man, I mean, this really is a great fight for him and probably the easiest one he's had in a long time. I mean, those losses, I mean, yeah, he's losing to Bryan Caraway, John Dodson, and Alejandro the Weasel Perez. And hey, dude, Eddie Wineland almost out-weaseled the fucking Weasel Master in that fight. I thought he looked really good against Alejandro Perez, and this is coming from someone who paid the minus 200 on Alejandro Perez in that fight. I would not have been that angry if they gave that decision to Eddie Wineland, dude. Like, that was a great performance, and you look at his Instagram. He looks in really, really good shape right now. And then Popov, yeah, a lot of people might not know this, but my boy Grigory Popov is actually older than Eddie Wineland, which is, I mean, crazy. Obviously, when we're talking fight years, Eddie Wineland's a little more up there. But, man, when it comes to this fight, I think on the feet, the striking, it probably will be close, man. Popov is a very good striker. He's not only has he fought in the sport of MMA, he's been there, done that, and with Muay Thai, kickboxing. I mean, the dude is a very, very seasoned striker. He strikes me as that kind of guy who's been striking since the age of, I mean, as a kid. He was probably put into striking classes as a kid, man. Like, he lived that life. And firstly, the whole Russian thing, I think the reason the line might be so close is because the guy, his last name is Popov. But, I mean, when you really look into it, man, I mean, the guy's Chinese. Let's be real here. I mean, I'm not going to say he looks Chinese, but kind of looks Chinese. And he's actually over there fighting in the Chinese regional scene. He's not going in there in the Russian scene. And, he hasn't had a upbringing like Peter Yan. Like, Peter Yan has fought in the biggest Russian organizations and fought against some of the best guys they had to offer. Popov is coming in here fighting against, yikes, dude, 2-2, 0-2, 1-1 Chinese guys. And that's no disrespect against the Chinese. We're going to be talking about a Chinese girl next fight who is an absolute phenom. But, man, there's such levels to this game. Eddie Wineland is probably going to, as soon as he figures the guy out, I think he's really going to take over. I got Eddie Wineland here pretty confidently, man. I think Popov has to catch him early, or else Wineland is going to figure him out. He's going to whoop him on the feet, or don't be surprised if Eddie Wineland comes out here and lands takedowns, because I've seen this guy Popov get taken down effortlessly, and now Eddie Wineland has only landed 2 takedowns in his entire UFC career, but don't be surprised if this is the time he actually pulls him out, man, because that is an advantage he will have in this fight, believe you me. So I'm going to go with Eddie Wineland here. I couldn't bring myself to bet it. I don't know. It just doesn't feel that right to me betting this guy at minus money, who is probably not the most durable anymore. If I knew for a fact he was going to come out here and try to wrestle, like, I'd feel a little more confident. But I mean, the reality is he's probably going to come out here and strike with a guy who is younger in fight years and a guy who is a very good striker. So I don't know. It definitely could be a close one, but I'm going to go with Eddie Wineland. I'm going to say he gets a clean cut 30-27 decision. So moving on to the next one, man, we got Jan Zaunin minus 190 taking on Angela Hill plus 165. This is me and Justin's first consensus bet of actually 3. We have 3 this card, bro. I don't know how I forgot the third one, but yeah, we got Jan Zaunin, man. So I have actually bet on Jan Zaunin in all 3 of her UFC fights. I believe the first one against Kylan Curran, that was around like minus 110, minus 120. The Viviane Pereira, that was some ridiculous, like plus 200s. And then I don't know why the last one's escaping. Oh, yeah, the Siri Kondo. That was at like minus 500, though. But still, man, against Angela Hill here, I will be taking my 4th stab in a row on Jan Zaunin. I think when it comes to this fight, like, firstly, I'm going to start with Angela Hill, man. I've had a lot of good things to say about Angela. I've probably defended Angela Hill more than most people have, to be honest. And I've bet on Angela Hill before. I bet on her in her Invicta fights when she was out there fighting cans, because I knew she'd be able to handle these can-like girls. But the thing is with Angela Hill, man, like, yikes, dude. Like, there's a big fight IQ problem. Obviously, her wrestling and ground game is very lackluster, but even the striking, dude, like, she is a good striker, and most people would agree with that, but even then, dude, she leaves herself open a lot, and like it's just not good. That Jodie Esquibel fight, I know she did take it on short notice, and she had fought like literally just weeks prior, but dude, oh man, you should not be having a close fight with Jodie Esquibel. Like, wow, that was really bad. Really, really bad. So yeah. Basically, Jan Zonin, I think she has way more tools on the feet. She has more power on the feet. Like, man, like I seen how hard this girl hit on the regional scene. And even the UFC, she's landed some really hard shots. But man, I'm not going to be surprised if Jan Zonin comes out here and gets the first finish of her UFC career against Angela Hill here, man. Because I mean, this is going to be a striking battle. This is Angela Hill's going to want to come out here, and she thinks she's the better striker, but she is not, in my opinion. Jan Zonin is on a different level. I'm going to go with her to, I'm going to say a 30-27 decision. It is a chick fight. I'm not going to go out on a big limb and say she finishes her. I'm just saying I won't be surprised. There's a lot more things I could say about Hill, but I'll let Justin get to it. What you think?
Yeah, man. I think this is a really good matchup for Jan Zonin. You know, Angela Hill, just in my opinion, she's just not that good. She's 3-4 in the UFC. She drops the ball a lot. You know, she doesn't really have a ground game. You know, she's a good striker, I will say that, but I just think Zonin is the better striker. I will say that Angela Hill is a good chin. Even though we might have, I don't know, like, it was for real, but I mean, between me and you and some sharps, I know a lot of like sharp people that, you know, watch the game a lot. Jodie Esquibel might have low-key dropped Angela Hill, honestly. And, yeah, man, you shouldn't be getting dropped against girls like that. Very close fight against probably the worst person in the division, in my opinion. She lost to Courtney Casey. Like, need I say more? Like, she just drops the ball so much. And a girl like Jan Zonin, you know, she's really good. She's on a 9-fight winning streak. I mean, she's definitely more technical. I think she has more power on the feet. I think she has really good movement on the feet. I mean, dude, her right hand's really good. She's very technical on the feet, good switch kick. So, like you mentioned, just more weapons. I think she's the better striker. I don't think Angela Hill's going to go out there and shoot. I doubt she can get her down. And, yeah, man, I like Jan Zonin. I think she's had a good career, and I think she's just too fast for Angela Hill. And good, she's good everywhere, man. Aggressive, she's going to be in her face. And Angela Hill doesn't like to get hit, man. I mean, yeah, she has a good chin, but she runs away a lot, dude. So I think Jan Zonin is going to finish her, and I know Angela Hill hasn't been finished in a while. Well, you know, she got subbed, but I think Jan Zonin's going to put it on her and get a finish. So I got Jan Zonin with a second-round TKO.
So I just want to add a couple more things, man. You mentioned the 3-4 UFC record. That's on her current stint. You forgot about her first stint where she went 1-2. Angela Hill's actually 4-6 in the UFC, man. She is a 40% win rate fighter. And the other thing I wanted to add, I kind of got off topic, but this will be Angela Hill's, I want to say, third fight in the last 2.5 months, man. That's ridiculous, and that's definitely got to be straining on the mind and the body. So, Jan Zonin with a full training camp. Let's fucking go, buddy.
Let's go, man. Speaking of finishes, next fight, we got Calvin Kattar versus Ricardo Lamas, and we both have a bet on Kattar. I think Kattar, I think he's one of the best guys in the division. I think he's a future top 5 guy. He's so technical on the feet. Like, this guy's striking is legit, man. I know he lost, you know, to Moicano after winning the first round, but you know, Moicano's a good fighter. Moicano's a top 5 guy. He starched Chris Fishgold in the first round. He beat Feely. He knocked out Burgos in a really good fight. His takedown defense is really good, too. We haven't really seen him, you know, get taken down. And I think Ricardo Lamas, in my opinion, has to take him down to win this fight. But I don't see it happening. I think on the feet, Lamas has good striking, but I think he's definitely at the end of his career. I think his chin is deteriorating. He's been knocked out about 3 or 4 times now. That fight with Bektik, that was not a split decision. Bektik clearly won that fight. Yes, he beat he beat Darren Elkins, but come on, dude, Elkins is a punching bag, you know. Calvin Kattar would finish him within like 2 minutes of that fight. So a lot of people like to criticize Kattar, saying he doesn't finish fights because his nickname is the Boston Decisionator or something like that. This kid's good everywhere, man. His right hand is really good. He has a great jab. Good takedown defense. He has good grappling, too. It wouldn't surprise me if he took down Lamas, but I think he's going to keep it on the feet. I think he's going to pick apart Ricardo Lamas. And I'm going to go out with the limb here because I bet a lot of people aren't going to say this, but I got Calvin Kattar with the first-round KO. I think he's really going to start Ricardo Lamas. And Ricardo Lamas going to hang it up in his hometown. This is he's fighting Chicago, and I think this is the last time we're going to see Ricardo Lamas. What about you?
Yeah, man, I don't know if that first round KO finish prediction is that crazy, considering how many times Lamas has been KO'd in the first round, man. So I definitely agree with you, and this happens to be our second consensus bet. I got Calvin Kattar here, man. I mean, this is just a classic case of, I mean, like natural selection. I mean, this is just the younger guy moving up in the division while the top guy from years ago slowly starts to fall down. I mean, this is like the Alexander Rakic, Jimmy Manuwa spot, man. I mean, yeah, we got a guy who, of course, has been there, done that, been to the top of the division, main evented UFC shows. I mean, not many people can say they've done what Ricardo Lamas has done. I mean, he's an amazing fighter. He's fought for the championship, but unfortunately, you're 37 years old at a smaller weight class where speed is very key, and I just think the timing of Kattar's punches is just going to beat him to it just about every time, man. I think his boxing is very, very sharp, man. I mean, I know you can say he's been solidly outstriked by guys like Moicano, but I mean, Moicano would piece Ricardo Lamas up the fuck too, man. I mean, I think what this is really going to come down to is if Lamas can pull out the wrestling he has in his back pocket, because he actually is a pretty underrated wrestler. But I mean, if you were like me and you actually watch the fights, does Ricardo Lamas really even wrestle that much? Not really. I mean, yeah, sure, he could pull it out here and land a takedown or two, but I think that's only gonna. I think that's only going to work as a disadvantage to him, man. I think he's going to have to expend a lot of energy getting down the much, much bigger, stronger Kattar, in my opinion. So, yeah, man, I have a hard time seeing Ricardo Lamas win this fight. I think eventually Kattar's going to start tagging him up, and the guy that's been knocked out more than a few times is probably going to end up getting knocked out again. It's just, man, it's just that time. I don't know if it's time to hang it up, but it's definitely time to stop fighting top 10 guys, or else you're going to keep taking knockout losses. So I got Calvin Kattar here. I don't know about a first round KO, but I'll say he gets a second round KO just for the fun of it. So yeah, I got Calvin Kattar. I think we both put 3 units at minus 145. I think we took the same exact bet there. So yeah, man, let's get it. Calvin Kattar for the win. So moving on to the next fight of the night, do we got is it the Grasso fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. We got Alexa Grasso. She's a minus 105 taking on Karolina Kowalkiewicz, minus 115. A lot of money has come in on Alexa Grasso as the underdog, and I mean, that's kind of well expected as well, man. It looks to me like Karolina Kowalkiewicz will be calling it a career after this fight. If you didn't know, she posted an Instagram fight thanking everyone for everything, for the journey, and, really making it look like this is the last go. And I mean, you can't really blame her. She's been there. She's fought for the title. She's lost to a lot of the top girls. She would be much too small to move up a weight class. This is probably the last big hurrah for her, man. And for some people that could be a motivation. She could come out here and have the best fight of her career. I mean, really, she wasn't looking too bad only a couple fights ago. Like the Felice Herrig fight, she looked really good against Felice. Like she was just leagues above with the striking. And honestly, I kind of feel like technically here that she's probably the better striker than Alexa Grasso. I kind of feel like Alexa Grasso just has youth on her side, improvements on her side. Grasso is a girl that's, at this point, she's pretty experienced in the UFC. I remember, it feels like it was just yesterday, her and Aldana, the 2 Mexican fighters, were just coming to the UFC, and everyone had widespread opinions, and now both those girls have been in the UFC for a while. The verdict's kind of out on them. They're both kind of all right, not bad, not great, but I definitely think this fight is going to be close, as the odds indicate. But I'm gonna go with Karolina Kowalkiewicz to go out on her career with a win here against Grasso. I just feel like she has more power in her shots, more pop behind the punches, and I feel like she's more technical. I don't think Grasso is gonna pull out any kind of wrestling game and sneak up on us here. I feel like this will be a straight cut striking battle. So I don't know. I got Kovalevich here, man. I mean, obviously, you can't bet her knowing that she's got that R word on her mind, and this probably will be her last time, and she probably is digressing. So yeah, I mean, this is just a big pass fight. So yeah, that's that, man. I got the Polish girl to go off on a win. What do you think?
Yeah, dude, this is a pretty close fight. I don't know, man. It's one of those fights where I think you have to pass, in my opinion. I mean, KK is on the way out. I mean, she hasn't even looked good at all recently. I mean, she got smoked against Andrade. She did not look good last fight. I mean, you could even say she didn't really look good against Herrick, but she did get the win against Herrick. Both these girls don't really go for takedowns, but I think KK actually has a better grappling. I just don't know if she's going to be able to shoot. I mean, I don't know if she's going to shoot. That's what I'm trying to say, because I do think she has the better takedowns and grappling. But on the feet, yeah, I think she's more technical. I don't really want to pick her because she said the R word, but I still think she should win the fight. Grasso is just not really impressive, man, at all. I don't know. Yeah, Grasso's like a gatekeeper, I feel like, and I think KK is better than her. So I got to go with the more tactical striking. I think KK could take her down, but I got KK by a split. I'm not really into it. So next fight, we got a great fight. We got Pedro Munhoz versus Aljamain Sterling. And yeah, man, I got Munhoz here, man. I think he has the better boxing. I actually think that obviously we know his guillotine's legit. I don't think Aljo's gonna be able to just control him on the mat or even take him down. I can see Munhoz, hurting him on the feet and then actually tapping out Aljo on that guillotine. I mean, Munhoz's BJJ, man, is legit. I mean, obviously Aljo might have the better wrestling, but I don't even know if Aljo can take him down on the feet. I will say Aljo's definitely improved a lot, man. I mean, Aljo's on a good winning streak. He looked really good last fight against Rivera, but then again, Rivera, he's on the decline. Rivera just has not been looking good, man. And yeah, he beat Dawson and all, but come on, dude, Dawson. We'll be talking about Dawson later, but Dawson's just on the decline as well. But Aljo's striking's improved. Obviously, he has he throws a lot of kicks. He's gonna want to keep it distance. He fights long, but his hands are improved too. But I think Munhoz is more durable. I think the pressure that he's gonna bring to Aljo's gonna really frustrate him. And like I mentioned, he has better boxing, man. And if Munhoz brawls with Aljo, which Munhoz enforces the brawl in a lot of his fights, I think Aljo's in deep trouble, man. So I think Aljo needs to. I don't even know if he should try to shoot, because if he tries to shoot, he's probably going to get tapped out. I think he needs to just fight at his range, fight long, and just run away and just use his kicks and strike a distance, But Munhoz going to get inside, man, and really make it a brawl and hurt him, man. So I got Pedro Munhoz. I think he's going to finish Aljamain Sterling. I have not played it yet. I have him on DraftKings. I don't know. I'm still debating if I'm gonna play it, but yeah, I got Munhoz. What about you?
Yeah, man, this is a great fight. Simply though, I just kind of don't really understand the line. I got Pedro Munhoz here as well. I think that it should probably be flipped with Pedro in the -140, -150 range, maybe even higher, man. Honestly, I think this is a really tough fight for Aljamain Sterling, and I've had some rough words on Sterling in the past, and he's definitely made me eat my words. He's made a lot of improvements. I will give him that. That striking, he has sharpened up quite a bit. I mean, even his submission game, which was so great in the first place, he's even worked on that more and kind of mixed together the wrestling and his whole MMA game. Like a broken record, I'm going to say. He's putting everything together. But, man, against Pedro Munhoz, I feel like on the feet, Pedro's definitely going to be the one pressuring, obviously. And, the dude has bricks in his hand for sure. He hits very, very hard. Look at these last couple wins, bro. The knockout over Bryan Caraway. Firstly, look at Bryan Caraway's pro MMA record and tell me who else has absolutely ran through him like that. And then the Cody Garbrandt fight, yeah, everyone wants to just write off that Pedro Munhoz knockout and say Cody Garbrandt has no chin and fought like a retard. Well, I know a lot of other guys who weren't able to knock out Cody Garbrandt. Literally, Pedro Munhoz and TJ Dillashaw have been the only ones. Was Thomas Almeida able to KO Cody Garbrandt? No. There's a lot of guys that haven't been able to. So I think it's definitely wrong to just write off that win. That's a legit top 5 win, man. I think both these guys are definitely top 10 for sure. They're legit. It's just stylistically, I feel like you said, on the mat, like, is Aljo really going to want to take down Pedro Munhoz, who probably has higher level BJJ than him, especially he has that defensive guillotine that he's just caught so many people with. Like, I'm sure he'll be worrying about that guillotine. And then on the feet, I mean, the feet is probably going to be Aljo's best path to victory. He kind of just has to stay at range, throw out his kicks, throw out his jabs. I mean, he does have a nice jab at this point. I don't know. He's just going to make this fight pretty. Use his athleticism. He is the better athlete here. Probably even has the better cardio. It's just he definitely doesn't have the better chin. I mean, on the feet, striking-wise, like, yeah, he looks nice and everything, but he's kind of harmless. He's not going to knock out Pedro Munhoz. He's definitely not going to submit Pedro Munhoz, so I feel like he has to win a decision here where he outpoints him, and it's going to be fucking hard to outpoint a guy that is pressuring you and throwing bombs at you. So, man, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Aljo to say he does not get knocked out here. I just think the judges are going to absolutely reward the forward pressure and harder punches thrown by Pedro Munhoz. So I'm going to go with MVA 30-27 decision. I put 2 units on it at plus 130. Definitely like the Brazilian to get the job done here, man. So, yeah, Pedro Munhoz, 30-27 decision.
Let's talk about Dawson real quick. I thought Munhoz beat Dawson, in my opinion. It was a close fight, but I do think he won the fight. And also, Dawson was in his prime, I feel like, back then. Dawson's definitely regressed in his last 3 fights.
Dude, even the Jimmie Rivera split decision, I mean, you could have scored that for Pedro Munhoz. That was a very close fight.
I thought Jimmie won that fight, but this isn't the same Jimmie. But yeah, we'll talk about that. Or the same Munhoz. Munhoz has definitely improved a lot since that fight.
And dude, I mean, I didn't even get through all of Pedro Munhoz's wins, not even the knockouts over Cody Garbrandt and Bryan Caraway. Rob Font, who we'll be talking about next week, he was able to finish that guy in the first round. Pedro Munhoz.
Rob Font was kind of piecing him up, but he just got caught in that submission. I heard the feet got tapped out.
Rob Font is low-key one of the best boxers in the division, bro. So, yeah, we'll be talking about him next week. But, yeah, man, definitely Pedro Munhoz is a live dog. And I'm actually going to go out on a limb and say, I told this to Justin before the podcast started, but I'll tell you guys. I think Pedro Munhoz is the best DraftKings play of the week because Aljamain Sterling is not going to knock him out. Aljamain Sterling is not going to submit him. Pedro Munhoz, at the very worst, will go 3 rounds and land 3 rounds worth of points. And, I mean, the dude's, 7,600, and he's probably going to win this fight? Easily. The best DraftKings play of the week for me. I'm probably going to end up going, geez, man, I might even go as far as like 3/4, 75% Pedro Munhoz. So, yeah, let's get it. Moving on to the next fight, we got the big boys. We got the heavyweights. Tai Tuivasa.
No, next fight is our future champ.
Our future champ. Who the hell's our future champ?
Suarez.
Oh boy, yeah, man. We got Tatiana Suarez minus 900 taking on Nina Ansaroff plus 600. Geez, man. Like I want to make a case for a plus 600 here, but it's kind of hard against a girl like Tatiana Suarez, and I have a lot of respect for Nina Ansaroff, man. I mean, there was one of those fights I was convinced she wouldn't win. She won.
Claudia, right?
Yeah. She was like plus 300 in that fight, man. That was like one of the biggest underdog winners of the year. But I mean, in hindsight, though, that's a Claudia Gadelha. That's, I mean, she's just not there anymore. I don't know if Joanna Jędrzejczyk broke her spirit or what, but definitely not the same chick. But yeah, I mean, I'll give Nina props, man. She's definitely made improvements from her days of going to split decisions with Justine Kish. Thought she handled Angela Hill just as she should have. The Claudia fight, obviously, that was really impressive. She's got to keep this fight in the feet, man. I mean, this is a pretty easy breakdown to make. I mean, the wrestling advantage, Tatiana Suarez, she's probably the best one in the division. And, I mean, that's her world in the clinch, on the mat, on a dominant position. I mean, Nina has to stuff. And, I mean, she's probably not going to, just being honest here. Let's be real. But say she does, say she's able to stuff some takedowns, it's going to get real interesting on the feet for sure. Like, I'll go out and say it. Nina Ansaroff is a better striker than Tatiana Suarez. I mean, I don't think many people would disagree with that. That's no secret, but I don't know. It's just not going to happen, man. I don't know. Just don't know what to say about this fight other than I don't see any reason why I should believe Nina's going to stuff the takedowns and win this fight. She's probably not going to. So I'm gonna go with Tatiana Suarez to take her down, land some ground and pound, probably go for some rear naked chokes, but I'll say Nina survives all 3 rounds. I'll go Tatiana Suarez 30-27 decision, and I got her in a parlay.
Yeah, man, it's no secret that the toughest fight for Suarez is Andrade. I mean, that's by far the toughest fight. That's going to be a scrap. I mean, it's a really good fight. Yeah, Ansaroff is a better striker. You know, Suarez really doesn't have, the best striking. We don't really see it that much because, she's like the Khabib of the division. I mean, she was relentless for those takedowns, man. She's so big for 115, dude. Like, she actually looks like a 125 or you can even say bantamweight, dude. She's a really big girl. So strong, man. Like her grappling, man, her wrestling is just so good. And obviously Ansaroff's a better striker, but I mean, I just don't think she can keep it there. I mean, Claudia took it down about 4 times, and yeah, Ansaroff looked really good last fight. But I mean, there's levels between Tatiana Suarez and Claudia Gardella. So yeah, I got Tatiana by domination. I think she's gonna take her down at will, and I'm gonna actually disagree with you. I actually think she gets a finish. So I got Suarez with a second round TKO. And I know Ansaroff kind of brought up the R word too. She said she's going to retire if she didn't beat Claudia Gardella. So, I mean, I think she's going to retire here, man, after she gets dominated against Tatiana Suarez. And Suarez going to fight Andrade next. I mean, come on, I don't want to hear Michelle Waterson, dude, like act like she should be fighting for the belt. Like, get out of here. Like, okay, fine, let's just do a title eliminator fight, Waterson versus Tatiana Suarez. I mean, oh my god, dude, Suarez would. I don't even want to. Oh my god, Suarez would dominate Michelle Waterson so bad, like literally, like terrible. I think she would get it done within like a couple minutes. But anyways, I mean, we've been high on Suarez for a very long time. I think that she's the future champ, and I think that she could go to 125 and actually beat Shevchenko too. So, I think domination. So next fight, I believe we got the first fight of the main card.
Big boys.
Is it my turn or your turn?
You're up, man. You got the big boys.
So we got Tuivasa versus Blagoy Ivanov, and yeah, man, this is a close fight. I've been having a pretty tough time with this fight. I don't know, man. Blagoy just hasn't really looked that impressive, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, he fought JDS and he fought Rothwell last fight, but I mean, between me and you, I mean, a lot of people too. Rothwell won that fight. I just don't think Blagoy has looked impressive at all. I mean, he's technical in the feet, but I mean, I think Tuivasa has more power. Tuivasa's a bigger guy. Tuivasa has a pretty decent record, and Tuivasa dropped JDS too, so I wouldn't be surprised if Tuivasa hurts him here. I actually think that Tuivasa has the better striking. I think that, like I mentioned, I think Blagoy is more technical, but I think Tuivasa has more weapons. I think that he hits like a truck. Obviously, I don't see this fight hitting the mat. It's a fight that I don't want any part of, especially for DraftKings. I think this fight could go all 3 rounds. So, but could get ugly in there, man. But I mean, I got to go with Tuivasa here. I think he's the better fighter, and I got him with a 29-28 decision or a late TKO. What about you?
Who'd you pick? Tuivasa?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go the other way, man. I'm going to go with Blagoy Ivanov. I think the underdog money that's been coming in on him is definitely rightful. I just think, he's definitely more experienced at this point. There's no disagreeing with that. He's got twice as many fights as Tuivasa. So going and watching the Tuivasa versus JDS fight the first time live, like I remember Tuivasa looking really good. He was pressuring JDS. He was taking control of the center of the octagon, just like you need to do against a guy like JDS. And going back and rewatching it, I mean, he didn't look as good as I thought he did for some reason. And then, of course, in that second round, he got over aggressive. He got dropped, and I mean, dude, the second it hit the mat, he was just completely outclassed. I kind of think he's going to get outclassed here a little bit too, man. Blagoy Ivanov. It's funny, I actually bet on Blagoy Ivanov as a huge underdog in his UFC debut. He came up short for me. JDS is a beast, but, he's a real meat and potatoes, just straightforward, technical, doesn't do anything crazy kind of guy, which, I mean, talk about crazy. The dude has one of the most nuts backstories of all time. He was stabbed. He was in a coma for months. I mean, just a real crazy, scary story there. And he went through the adversity, and now he's back in the world of MMA, and He killed it in World Series of Fighting, became world champion there, defeating former UFC fighters on the regional scene. So, I mean, we knew he was ready, man. I mean, I knew he was ready for the UFC. And, you know, he came in, he hung 5 rounds with JDS, and then that last fight against Ben Rothwell. You know, I actually agree with Justin that Ben Rothwell probably should have gotten the decision there, but I don't think that's a knock on Blagoy Ivanov. I actually think Ben Rothwell came out, and for a guy that's been off for a long time, I thought Ben Rothwell looked pretty good. I thought both guys looked pretty good. Obviously, it was kind of a ugly fight because, I mean, these are heavyweights. They're slower than the featherweights and lightweights we're accustomed to. But, man, I thought Blagoy Ivanov showed a little bit more confidence in that second UFC fight. I think here against Tuivasa, he's going to be able to do a lot of, you know, pinning him against the cage, knees to the body. Man, I just feel like he's definitely got the tools to win this fight, man. Even on the feet, like, I know Tuivasa has like a kickboxing background and everything, but Blagoy Ivanov is probably more technical, man. I feel like on the feet, he's going to be able to jab him up all day, pin him against the fence, and then probably land some takedowns here. So I'm going to say maybe there's a moment or two where Tuivasa lands a big shot. You know, he is a high risk, high reward kind of guy. So, you know, maybe he hurts him at one point, but I'm going to say Blagoy Ivanov wins a clear-cut 30-27 decision here. Man, I just don't know if I want to bet it. I have such a terrible track record with these heavyweight fights, especially when it's like not top 10 heavyweight guys, because I don't know, just the lower it gets a heavyweight weight class is just yucky, man. I'm good. I'm all good with that, but I'm gonna go with Blagoy for DraftKings all day, man, because yeah, he's gonna land some takedowns here. Might even get a knockout. It is heavyweight after all, so yeah, I'm gonna say 30-27 decision for Ivanov there. What do you think?
Yeah, I already picked him also.
Oh yeah, you already did it. My bad. So moving on to the next fight, we got we got Jimmie Rivera, Peter Yan?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, man. So we got Peter Yan. He is a -325 favorite taking on Jimmie Rivera, +265. Man, I mean, it is weird to see Jimmie Rivera at such a high line. I mean, based on the guy's record, he was on a 20-0 run at one point, just going through everyone, just looks great. But fortunately, he ran into Marlon Moraes, and Marlon Moraes shut his lights off, and he has not looked the same since. It's just plain and simple. I mean, that Aljamain Sterling fight, I talked about that a little bit earlier. It was like the first time watching it, it was more of me thinking Aljamain looked amazing. Then here, rewatching it this week, it's more of, man, I don't know if it was so much Aljamain looking great, but it's more of Jimmie just looking bad, just real bad. I don't know if he's lost his confidence or what, but a guy who has no shortage of confidence is this dude Peter Yan, who is an absolute killer. I thought he looked amazing versus John Dodson. I mean, I know John Dodson dropped him in that fight, but Peter Yan dominated him straight up. I mean, I wasn't expecting him to dominate him that bad, but damn, he beat Dodson's ass. Like, he for sure proved he belongs in like the top 15, top 10 of the division. And I mean, we got one guy in the up and we got one guy in the down. So I think the line is definitely rightful. If anything, it should probably be a lot higher, because I have a hard time seeing Jimmie win this fight, dude. I mean, the guy, I mean, he doesn't really have an offensive wrestling game. He doesn't really have a lot of power in his hands. Like, I feel like he has to just simply outstrike Peter Yan here for at least 2 of the 3 rounds, and I don't see that happening, man. There was a huge problem with volume in his last fight. Peter Yan, he throws a lot. He throws a lot, but he definitely picks his shots. Like, he's super sharp, man. He's a very good boxer. So, yeah, Jimmie Rivera probably is not going to win this fight, unfortunately, for him. So, yeah, I got Peter Yan here. He is in my 3-leg parlay with Tatiana Suarez and someone else later on. So, let's get it. Who do you got?
Yeah, man, I think Yan is actually better wherever the fight goes. You know, Rivera's definitely on the decline. You know, his chin isn't the best. You can definitely say it's chinny. Yan's more technical. Yan has more tools in the feet. He has a very powerful right hand. His pressure is good left hand. I mean, his pressure is really good. I mean, he has the same pace in the first round. And in the third round, his cardio is good. Dawson dropped him, but, I mean, he recovered really fast, and he dominated that whole fight. Dawson, I think, had his hands up, which was pretty funny because Dawson did win a round that fight. Even in the round that he dropped him, he didn't even win. Yeah, man, Rivera just looked really slow versus Aljo. He just looked really just like lackluster, like he didn't even want it. I mean, Marlon, obviously smoked him, and even against Dawson, he didn't look the best. He's definitely been on the decline, man. He doesn't throw a lot of volume anyway, so I mean, he is technical, but I mean, man, Yan throws way more volume. Yan, just the pressure is going to hurt him, man. So I got Yan. I think he's going to finish him. And I forgot to mention I have a parlay with Yan Zonin and Peter Yan. So I think that's 3 units of like minus, I think 112. I don't even know. Let me check real quick. I'm pretty sure it's minus 112. Yeah. But yeah, I think Peter Yan's going to really, really, really hurt Jimmie Rivera and get him out of there. So next fight, man, we got one of the best fights. I mean, probably like the people's main event. This fight is probably the fight that everyone wants to fight. This fight should be a 5-round fight. I don't know why it isn't, but it is what it is. We got Tony Ferguson versus Cowboy Cerrone, and I've had a tough time with this fight just because I'm really big fans of both guys, and I'm really high on Tony Ferguson. Like, there's no secret. I mean, I think he's a really, really good fighter. The only thing is he just hasn't fought in a while. I mean, he's battling some demons right now, and kind of like what me and you were joking about off camera and stuff, how he's seen some stuff, in in the walls and stuff and all that. But I mean, he's still a great fighter, man. And I think stylistically, it's kind of a bad matchup for Cerrone just because the pressure that he brings. I mean, his pace, his cardio, he's gonna be in his face. I mean, the way he rips the body, man, his body shots. I mean, the volume. Tony Ferguson's good everywhere, man. And people act like he's just a good grappler and he has good jiu-jitsu, but I feel like his striking is the best part of his game. His pressure is the best part of the game. Durability. I mean, I think Cerrone's a great fighter. I mean, obviously he definitely looked so good his last 3 fights. I mean, Cerrone 2.0, but I just think Ferguson's a better fighter, man. I do think that Cerrone is really good. I mean, he's so technical on the feet, has great head kicks, great striking, good jab, great grappling. I mean, if this hits the mat, it's going to get so interesting because both guys have really good jiu-jitsu. But I just think where this fight stands out, in my opinion, is on the feet. I just think Tony Ferguson just has more volume on the feet. I just think the pressure is really going to hurt him. I think the body's going to be open too. So I got Tony Ferguson hurting Cowboy to the body, and I think he's going to finish him, man, with a TKO. I don't know if he's going to tap out Cerrone. That's really tough, but I mean, I could see Cerrone making this fight like a back and forth war, but I think eventually Tony's going to catch him. So I got Tony Ferguson for the 3rd round TKO. What about you?
Man, this is such a good fight. I mean, this just has instant classic written all over it, man. I mean, 2 absolute legends. You got Tony on one of the best UFC win streaks of all time, and you got Cerrone, who, man, talk about a guy that's had ups and downs. I mean, it's crazy. He went on like his 7 or 8 win streak in the lightweight division. That got halted by RDA. Then he goes on an insane win streak at welterweight, and can't really think at the top of my head who beat Cerrone at welterweight first. Was it who did he take his first welter? Oh, it was Masvidal. Masvidal was able to go out there. I had Masvidal big there, man. Yeah, he lost to Masvidal, then lost to Lawler, then got smoked by Till. Then he bounces back against Yancey, loses to Leon Edwards, wins against Mike Perry. Now he comes back to lightweight. Now, 2 things have happened to Donald Cerrone in the last year or so. He had his child. He came back to lightweight. Those 2 things have paid off very, very well for him, man, because his mentality right now, I mean, he's in the best place of his career. I mean, he has a lot more to fight for at this point. I mean, before he was fighting to make money, to be able to pay to go on crazy trips and do crazy shit. Now he's fighting to make money for his kid, and it's a whole nother ball game. I mean, you can see it in his fights. He's coming out there a different guy, smokes a great prospect in Alexander Hernandez, and then unanimous decision ass beating over Iaquinta. I mean, you can make the argument Donald Cerrone put more of a beating on Iaquinta than Khabib Nurmagomedov did, man. I mean, that was just a world-class performance. Now, the problem is he's coming up against Tony Ferguson, who undoubtedly is definitely a top 3 guy of the deepest division in the entire UFC, and history will show that Donald Cerrone unfortunately loses in these spots. Now, I mean, can we just go off of history and say that's why he's going to lose? I mean, probably not, but oh gosh, I mean, I just feel like those holes, they probably didn't disappear. I mean, Donald Cerrone still does have holes in his game. He is susceptible to body shots. That is something Tony Ferguson is really good at, coincidentally. Something about Tony Ferguson, man. Like, a lot of people will talk about
Whoa, what did you? My dog just scared the shit out of me right now. Oh my god.
That scared the shit out of me.
All right, go ahead. Sorry. What are you doing?
I totally lost my train of thought. That's funny though.
You scared the crap out of me.
Man, yeah, most people will talk about Ferguson's just his wild style in the cage and his jiu-jitsu, but Tony definitely has underrated power, man. And sometimes these guys just come out and overpower Donald and smoke him. And I think that might be what happens with Tony Ferguson here. Man, Justin, you really got me off guard with that. But
Sorry,
yeah, man. But one other thing, like, back to the mentality. You got to mute your mic or something. God damn.
Speaker outside.
You got Donald Cerrone on one hand, who is in the best place mentally in his career against a guy who's hearing demons in the wall, man. Like, do I really want to bet the guy hearing demons in his walls at minus money? Not really. And another reason I don't want to bet Tony Ferguson here is just because, I mean, like I said, it's got instant classic written all over it. These guys are going to go to war. And I simply don't want to bet a guy at minus 145 when I know he is probably going to go through some shit. And hey, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he comes out, slaps Cerrone real quick. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about it. I got Tony Ferguson here. I'm going to make him more of a DraftKings play. He's always gold on DraftKings, man, because, I mean, he's got that overall game. He has heavy volume on the feet. He can drop guys. He can take guys down. He can get advances. He can get subs. I mean, Tony Ferguson's just, I mean, in the cage, he's what we love about MMA. I mean, one of the most fan-friendly styles you can possibly get. I was about to pass it off to Justin, but I guess he is going to go on a little break over there. But I guess I could just talk about Tony Ferguson's career for a little bit before he gets back. I mean, look at this win streak he is on, man. So, of course, he had to start off with a couple of jobbers and Mike Rio and Katsunori Kikuno. Split decision win over Danny Castillo. So this is a fight that a lot of people bring up in Tony Ferguson's fights when he fights wrestlers. But, I mean, dude, firstly, like, yeah, Danny Castillo took him down and was able to hold him down for the most part. But, dude, Tony Ferguson won that fucking fight. Like, he did everything he could to throw shit off the bottom, throw up subs. Like, I mean, he simply won the fight from his back. I mean, the fact that it was a split decision and people thought Castillo won that fight, like, that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, Tony Ferguson won that fight. The Abel Trujillo fight, I remember being really, really hyped for that fight back in the day. I was much higher on Trujillo than I probably should have been. He went out there, subbed him in the second round. Gleison Tebow was a really good one, man. That first round finish there. The Josh Thompson fight, that was a war. Obviously, the Edson Barboza fight, that's one of the best fights we've seen of all time. The Lando Venata fight, now that was a sketchy one. I don't know what happened there, but let's be real. Tony Ferguson almost lost. I don't know if that's just one guy has everything to lose, one guy has everything to gain. Lando just zero fucks given, came out guns blazing, and he was able to catch him a couple times. I've actually heard a couple interviews where Tony Ferguson said one of the advertisements on the mat was slippery, and eventually the first knockdown was legit, but after he got back up, he slipped on the advertisement, and that's what caused the second and third knockdowns, whatever you want to call it. So that was a weird one. And then after that, there was the Dos Anjos fight in Mexico. That was a really good performance. The Kevin Lee finish, and then the most recent one, the Anthony Pettis fight. That's an all-time classic right there. That Tony Ferguson Anthony Pettis fight. That was great. He was able to go out there and break a guy who doesn't have much durability left. So here we are against Donald Cowboy Cerrone. I'm glad I was able to stall out on that one a little bit. Justin's back. Justin, what do you think of this fight, man? Or did you already do it? I can't even remember.
I already picked Ferguson, bro.
All right, yeah. So, yeah, Tony Ferguson. We are both in agreement that Tony Ferguson is going to win this fight. You got him by finish?
Yeah, I got him by 3-round TKO. But yeah, I've had to leave about 3 or 4 times because I'm sick and I've been, like, spin some shit in the sink and then taking my dog out. So I'm under the weather and I'm still on here. So,
Oh, poor Justin.
The show must go on.
So moving on to the co-main event of the evening, we got the women's flyweight championship bout. We got Valentina Shevchenko. She's a minus 1375 favorite over Jessica Ai, plus 900 underdog. Dude, hashtag I believe. Totally kidding. Valentina Shevchenko is a minus 1375 favorite, probably for a reason. Actually, you know what, man? I think it should probably be a little bit higher than that if we're being honest. Dude, I mean, let's give props to Jessica Ai before I kind of ruin her a little bit. She's definitely made improvements. She's come a long way from being a laughing stock. You know, she was on like an 0-4 run. She was getting dropped by Kalindra Faria. Dude, she almost lost to Kalindra Faria. Like, that was bad. But hey, props to her. She's stuck tough. She's definitely got some confidence. Her striking, I don't know if it's so much her striking has gotten a lot better. It's just like she's more flowy in there. She's got confidence. She actually puts power behind her punches and puts combos together. Like, she's doing what she should have been doing her entire UFC career. It's a shame she wasn't able to do it earlier, but props to her for putting it all together now. But unfortunately, the final product of Jessica Ai is still nowhere near the absolute beast that Valentina Shevchenko is. I mean, this girl is just... I'm going to go out on a limb and say it, and a lot of people will disagree. I think Valentina Shevchenko is pound for pound the best women's fighter on planet Earth. I know you can easily make the argument that it is Amanda Nunes because she is a double champ and she's beaten Valentina Shevchenko twice. But, I mean, dude, Amanda Nunes is, she's a huge 135-pounder. She probably should be fighting at 145 pounds for the sake of her, like, health. Valentina Shevchenko is a 125-pounder, and she was able to have 2 close fights with the 145-pound champion. Like, she didn't win, but the fact that she's having a close fight, there's weight classes for a reason. Amanda Nunes should be going out there and smoking Valentina Shevchenko, but that wasn't the case because Valentina Shevchenko is a warrior. She is just, she's got it all, man. I remember when she first came into the UFC, mostly known as a striker. She's got that very extensive kickboxing record with wins over Jędrzejczyk. Obviously, she's picked up the MMA win over Jędrzejczyk since. And then it wasn't really until the Juliana Pena fight where we saw the submission side of her game. She's a high-level BJJ player at all, man. She absolutely has it all. She has the wrestling base, the judo base, the high-level black belt in BJJ, obviously the 70-fight kickboxing record. She's super sharp there. Does Jessica Ai have an advantage anywhere in this fight? I tend to think she probably doesn't. I think where she's probably going to have the most success in this fight, if any at all, is probably just going to be using all her strength to push Valentina Shevchenko up against the cage and, land short shots, stuff like that. Try really hard for takedowns. I definitely think Jessica Ai is going to go for takedowns in this fight. Hell, that might even be her main game plan, is to wrestle in this fight. But, geez, dude, she's probably going to end up getting reversed and taking down herself in the process. It's going to be tough. I think Valentina Shevchenko is probably going to end up winning this fight by submission. She's got 25 minutes to do it. Ai is going to be engaging in the grappling, and she's simply outgunned on the mat. So Valentina Shevchenko, she's going to pick apart Ai for as long as it's on the feet. Maybe a round or two into some grappling exchanges, she's probably going to end up getting caught in an arm bar or her back taken. So, yeah, I got Valentina Shevchenko. I'm going to say second round rear naked choke.
Yeah, man, I agree with everything you say. I definitely have Shevchenko here. I'm not going to play it, obviously, the current line. I think Jessica Ai actually kind of playable for DraftKings just because she's so cheap, and kind of like what you mentioned, she might you mentioned this like off air, she might score like 30 or 40 points in a loss. So but yeah, I think that she could actually get a couple takedowns here and there. Her striking's improved. She's definitely improved a lot. She's fighting Shevchenko for the belt. This isn't the joke just guy anymore. She's definitely, a good fighter. I just think there's levels. Shevchenko's, not losing, I think, her belt until maybe she fights Suarez or, maybe even KGB Lee. I mean, honestly, I think those are the only two girls I think that could threaten her at 125. But maybe Jojo. I don't think Jojo. But anyways, back on the matchup. Shevchenko's is better everywhere. I could kind of agree with what you said. She definitely beat Amanda Nunes in the rematch. The first fight, I think Amanda won, but the second fight, come on, dude. Shevchenko definitely won that fight. And Amanda beat Cyborg, but Shevchenko's one. Come on, dude. If she's not the best girl fighter in the UFC right now, it's Amanda Nunes. So, I think Shevchenko is so technical on the feet. I think her grappling's underrated. You saw how she tapped out Joanna Pena. She could take down Jessica if she wants to. I just think that she's going to hurt her on the feet. And, maybe Jessica takes her down a couple of times. I wouldn't be surprised. It'd be pretty cool if it's like a back and forth fight, which I don't think it will be. But, we'll see what Jessica her game plan is. Because the striking's improved, but Shevchenko's better wherever the fight goes. So I got Shevchenko by a pretty dominant decision win. So next up, we got the main event. We got Magic Moraes versus Henry Cejudo. We're going against each other. I believe Kelton has the better of me, I think, this year when we go against each other. What are you 3-1?
Yeah, man. I'm 3-1 against you this year.
Well, it's going to be 3-2 because I got 3 units on Magic at -120. And man, I think I have a lot of respect for Cejudo. I bet him versus TJ, and Cejudo is definitely a really good fighter. One of the best fighters, I feel like, in the, even at 135, I think Cejudo could win a lot of fights. But, this is a step up, I feel like, for Cejudo because, he's going to 135. He's fighting the best bantamweight in the division right now. You could say Cejudo's a step up for Magic, too. Cejudo's, a really, really good fighter. He's definitely better than, Aljo and Jimmie Rivera and all those guys. But still, though, man, I feel like on the feet, Magic just has the better striking. He's more technical. He has way more weapons. He has a really good, powerful right hand, powerful left hand, great jab. We didn't even talk about his kicks. His head kicks that he knocked out against Jimmie Rivera. Aljo's kind of a knee, but still though, if Henry shoots, which he's gonna shoot, you better watch out. Wouldn't be surprised if he caught a knee or a kick and got knocked out. But obviously Cejudo has the better wrestling for sure. He's an Olympic, wrestler. He has, the best wrestling in the division at 125, maybe even some of the best wrestling in the sport. But Magic has very good takedown defense. Obviously, this is the best wrestler he's ever fought. But Magic's won 17 of his last 18. He hasn't lost in a very long time. People like to bring up his KO his knockout losses and all that, but come on, just Cejudo's been knocked out more recently too, and Cejudo's kind of been falling in love with the striking. His striking is really good. He knocked out TJ at 125. That's a good win, but TJ's kind of a chinny fighter, man. Magic's definitely way better than TJ in my opinion. Like I mentioned on the feet, dude. I just think Magic's a better striker. He has more power too. I think he has really good jiu-jitsu. I think Magic's good everywhere. I think if Cejudo wins this fight, he's just going to have to out-wrestle him for 5 rounds. I really think that, yes, that's how he's going to win the fight. I just don't see it happening, man. I just think, Magic's going to catch him. I really do. I think the power at 135 is different than 125. And I'm going to go with Magic, man, with a first-round KO here. What about you?
Only takes 3 rounds to win a decision in a 5-round fight. He doesn't need to out-wrestle him all 5 rounds. But, man,
go ahead.
Yeah, this is just an amazing fight, man, and it just speaks to how close and how great it is that you got co-host against co-host here, man. And I am on the side of Henry Cejudo. I have 3 units on him at +115. Man, I think you'd just be crazy to say that, or in other words, I should say, this is definitely the hardest fight of Marlon Moraes' career for sure, but this is also the hardest fight of Henry Cejudo's career for sure. But I don't know. Justin earlier in the week was all like, yeah, this is a way bigger step up for Henry Cejudo than it is for Marlon Moraes. Dude, Henry Cejudo has been there, had championship level fights in the UFC. He beat the flyweight GOAT. He went against the former bantamweight champion on EPO, smoked him in 30 seconds. I know that's TJ Dillashaw, who probably shouldn't have been at 125 pounds, and we've seen TJ Dillashaw have some chin problems in the past, but hey, man, Henry Cejudo did exactly what he was supposed to do. Marlon Moraes, he would do the same thing. He would knock out TJ Dillashaw as well. It's just, it really comes down to Henry Cejudo versus Marlon Moraes. We can bring up all these other side factors, but I mean, what really matters is what's going to happen in that octagon, and the more technical, better fighter is going to win. And in my opinion, yeah, on the feet, Marlon Moraes, he's probably got more power, and that's not to say Henry doesn't have power. Henry can hit like a motherfucker, dude. He has bricks in his hands for sure. Now, Henry or Marlon, on the other hand, yeah, he's got more tools. He's got better kicks. I think he's going to be able to chip away Henry's legs as long as it stays on the feet. He's going to land hard shots, man. Now, I definitely think Henry is a very durable fighter, and I expect him to be even more durable at 135 pounds. I think both these guys are very durable, if we're being honest. I mean, we could talk about both of their knockout losses in the past. Both these guys do have knockout losses, but both of these guys are completely different people than they were when they last took their knockout losses. This is not the Henry Cejudo that we saw get a knee to the body and fall over against DJ in the first fight. And this isn't the Marlon Moraes who we saw get knocked out in full guard in the regional scene in 2008 or get rocked by ground and pound from top position. Like, I didn't want to bring that up because it is from 2008, but hey, that happened. So in this fight, yeah, Marlon on the feet, I definitely give Marlon the advantage, but I think it's going to be close, man. I definitely think Henry's fast as fuck, dude. I mean, wow, the guy's just a super athlete, man. And I think he's got very high fight IQ. Both these guys have fight IQ, man. I just think, I don't know, Henry definitely gets better as the fight goes along, too. Like that DJ fight, I thought DJ won the first round, and then it was weird, too, the whole thing that happened with Henry's leg. Like, I don't remember if he checked a kick or whatever, but or no, he just took a wrong step and fucked up his ankle. And I was like, oh shit, Henry's about to get finished in the first round again. But I mean, I guess it wasn't that serious. And, he was able to time DJ, figure him out, and take him down a lot. And I think that's similar to what's going to happen here, man. I think as the fight goes on, Henry's going to be able to time those takedowns and hold top control for at least 3 rounds of this fight, man. I'm going to say Henry Cejudo comes out here, wins a 49-46 decision over Marlon Moraes, man. I think the striking is going to be close, but the takedowns, the wrestling will be key. Oh, and did I mention Henry Cejudo? He is a Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah, you got to watch out about Magic's, jiu-jitsu game too. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Magic tapped him out.
I mean, I'd be pretty surprised. Henry Cejudo has never been tapped out before.
Just tapped out of Sunset, man. I mean, that was, like a great win in the first round. So, I mean, honestly, like, I think they both have good chins, but I don't know, man. I know Cejudo is probably the faster guy, but Magic's is so, like, technical, like, just so technically sound on the feet. He's just so smart, like, just the way he picks his shots. So, Cejudo definitely needs to watch out if he shoots because, like I mentioned earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a knee or, a head kick to the head. But it's just a great fight, man. Cejudo beats Magic. I mean, whoa, he's probably the pound for pound, like, what, top 3? But Magic wins, too. I mean, Magic's, going to hold on that belt for a while. But obviously, bantamweight's pretty stacked, man. I think Peter Yan's probably, the guy right now that I'm eyeing who's probably going to be the next champ or fight for the belt next. I mean, obviously, Sandhagen maybe too, but I think Peter Yan's, like, top 3 in my opinion. I mean, Peter Yan's legit, dude. So Peter Yan's probably going to beat most guys in the division. I don't know about. I don't know. Magic's is so good, I don't know if Magic's going to lose to anyone in the division, honestly. But we'll see what happens. Cejudo's going to give him a tough test. Is there anything else you want to say?
Man, yeah, I definitely think whoever wins this fight, I mean, they're probably going to rule at bantamweight for a very long time. But yeah, may the best man win. Henry Cejudo, man, I'm just such a huge fan of. I mean, the guy is he's the definition of a champ. I love his mindset. I know people find him so cringy, but I mean, I don't know if you watched that 20-minute interview he did during fight week this week, but man, I just love the mentality of this guy. He just does everything the right way. And that's not to say Marlon doesn't, but I mean, everything he's been through with the Olympics, won a gold medal there, came to the UFC, fought Demetrius Johnson, lost the first time, then came back a way better fighter, and now defeated him in a rematch, became the champ, and then just beat the bantamweight champ, man. I mean, such such a amazing run. Like if he beats Marlon Moraes here, that's gonna cap off like one of the best win streaks like in UFC history. I mean, Demetrius Johnson, TJ Dillashaw, Marlon Moraes, that would be a sick trio of wins there, man. But on the other side, Marlon Moraes, if he comes out, knocks out Henry Cejudo, like you think he will, I mean, I don't see anyone beating him, man. Even the amazing prospects like Peter Yan, Corey Sandhagen, Rob Font, Ricky Simone. I mean, throw any of those guys in there. Shit, dude. Marlon's a tough go. It's a great fight, man. I definitely like the plus money I got, though. I love being on that side.
Yeah, man. So let's do a little recap on our bets real quick so we can get out of here because, I'm not feeling that good. I got to take a hot shower after this. So, yeah, I have a parlay with Zian Zonin and Peter Gian. I have 3 units. I have Magic 3 units at so Magic minus 120, and then the parlays at minus 112, and then Kattar at minus 145. And then what about you again?
Yeah, man. So I reached my personal cap of 15 units per card on this card, man. I locked and loaded. I got 4 units on Jan Zaunin. I got 2 units at plus 110, 2 units at plus 105, 3 units on Calvin Kattar, minus 145, 2 units on Pedro Munhoz, plus 130, 3 units on a 3-leg parlay of Tatiana Suarez, Peter Yan, Valentina Shevchenko. And, of course, going against Justin, 3 units, Henry Cejudo, plus 115. Let's get it.
Let's get it, man. I can't wait for this fight. Obviously, I can't wait for every fight in this card, but I can't wait for Greenville. Greenville's a great card. I already have 3 bets.
Dude,
I'm sure you have 3 bets too. I have bets on Barberina at minus 130. I have 3 units on him. I have 3 units on Lipsky at minus 140. And I have 3 units on KGB at minus 130. And I'm so high in KGB, man. Honestly, like I mentioned earlier, I think that she could maybe even dethrone Shevchenko, man. Dude, she's improved a lot, dude. She's a beast, dude. I think she's gonna just run right through Montana.
Yeah, I'm a little torn on that fight. I'm with you on 2/3 of that, though. I have Barberina, of course. He is going to wreck Randy Brown, dude. And then Ariane Lipsky with, just a gigantic step down in competition. Hey, here's Jojo in your first UFC fight, a top 10 girl. Now here's Meatball Molly McCann, and you're only minus 135. Yeah, give me all the Lipsky there. And then I got my boy Rob Font, man. I got plus 125 and plus 145. He's down to plus 105 now, so sniped that a little bit there. So yeah, looking forward to talking about that one, man.
Yeah, guys. So let us know in the comments below who you guys have in every fight, who you guys have in the main event, and yeah, man, we'll be back. And for next week, we have a 2-week break, I think, and then after that, we have 6 or 7 cards in a row. So later, guys, and hope everyone catches.